Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, yes, still camping, yes, another absolutely gorgeous day, I hope. Keep walking through spiderwebs here. Anyways, we had thunderstorms yesterday, we had a lot of rain, and today things seem to be on the brighter side. The sun is coming out, the weather is clearing up, and hopefully we get a great day. So come along with me on my morning walk and let's talk some news. So first up on the docket, we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with Eden. And I would say that this is a pretty darn big release for the Eden emulator. Eden version 0.0.3 release candidate 1 has just released. Now it's worth noting that this is a release candidate, so it's not a stable build. There may be bugs, there may be issues, but what you're seeing here is probably what's going to be in the final build, or the latest stable build. And taking a look at the changelog, and there is quite a bit in it, as well as some very surprising things. So taking a look at the changes here, and they've got JIT backend improvements. Improved fast GPU time, higher overclock values increase resolution at the cost of performance. Fast CPU time option overclocks the emulated CPU, may improve FPS caps in some games, but may also cause unwanted speedups or performance drops. They fixed FMV green screens on all platforms. Hardware accelerated video decoding for H.264, VP8, and VP9 on all supported GPUs and platforms. On top of that, they say airplane mode implementation. Certain games phone home by default and require airplane mode to be enabled to play. Custom CPU tick option changes emulated CPU's ticks, can improve performance at the cost of stability. And taking a look down the line here, they say sample shading improves shader and image quality but may slightly reduce performance. MSAA improvements, notably this improves Civilization 7. And on top of that, they've added in a 0.25 times resolution option, which may help out performance at the cost of all the visuals. Now for Android specifically, they say support for various game hubs, removed frame skip entirely while we work on it, added an option to utilize the native keyboard over the firmware keyboard. They've also improved the multiplayer front end, improved compatibility with older devices. Now, under known issues, they say the latest updates to many games work intermittently, if at all. In general, we recommend using the pre-Switch 2 versions. Most of the new updates cause black screens, ARM panics, or crashes. And using firmware above 19.0.1 causes crashes in the home menu. Decryption keys from 20.0.0 or newer cause some games to be not properly read or recognized. Now on top of all of that, there's more optimizations, UI improvements, bug fixes, even more features, and even more. I didn't even go through a quarter of the changelog. There is a lot here. If you're interested in this and wanted to learn more about it, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below right at the bottom. I don't hide my sources. Now interestingly here under special thanks, Ioneo is listed. So they say Ioneo for providing Camille, Mr. Purple, and Kruter devices to test and provide support for. Now I'm not going to lie here, I am surprised to see Ioneo involved in the success of Switch emulation, but here we are. But moving on and still talking about Nintendo, we're just going back a few generations and we're talking about Kirby Air Ride. And there's a brand new fan mod here called Kirby Air Ride Deluxe that may be worth learning about. There's a very interesting new video about it on YouTube. So for those who may not be aware, Kirby Air Ride Deluxe stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano. And it's a collection of mods powered by the Hoshi framework with an emphasis on customization and familiar aesthetics. Many new menus and UI elements are included to improve the user experience. All features are toggleable and their settings saved to the memory card. In my opinion here, Kirby Air Ride Deluxe seems pretty extensive. I mean, taking a look at general features, they've added 8 additional Kirby colors, complete with unique UI and HUD cosmetics. Customize music in the new music settings menu within the sound menu, playlist saved to the memory card. Change the music mid-game while paused. Display a countdown when unpausing the game with 2 or more players. Add rear view, quick start view, break and copy ability drop. customize which menu appears on the game startup, and adjust the default camera zoom level. And on top of that, because yes, there's more, Undercity trial features allow Kirby to become invincible after being KO'd. Self-destructs and Destruction Derby award points to opponents. Adjust the frequency of item spawns, adjust the frequency of legendary machine part spawns, and even more. There is quite a bit in this, and I do recommend checking out that YouTube video, as the description of it has a very interesting link to their GitHub. And speaking about interesting stuff, next up we're talking about a brand new app here called Your Turn. And if you liked couch co-op, but you don't have anyone to sit on the couch beside you, but you know people who live in other households, then this may be of interest. So the app is titled Your Turn, and the developer says, I made an app to relive the Your Turn couch gaming days on mobile. Now listen to this description. I just launched the early access beta for Your Turn, a free emulator companion app for Android that lets you take turns playing the same game by passing a save state back and forth. Just like the good old days of sharing a controller on the couch, but it's anytime, anywhere. Now, if you're wondering how this all works, fortunately, the developer described it. They say here, you and your friend load the same ROM on the same emulator on your devices. Currently supported emulators for beta are John GBA and John GBC Lite. Open the Your Turn app and invite your friend to start a game. Take your turn, save the game using the emulator's save state, add a note, and upload it into the app. Your friend gets a notification, reads your note, downloads your save, and plays their turn. Repeat back and forth, just like passing the controller. Now at this point in time, they have not released the full app. It's currently in beta testing, and they appear to be looking for testers. And in this Reddit post, and again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below, they are looking for a minimum of 12 testers for 14 days in order to post the app publicly on the Google Play Store. So if you are interested in this one and wanted to learn more about it, check out that link. And continuing to talk about emulation and interesting stuff, next up we're talking about Simple Launcher. Now for those who may not be aware, Simple Launcher is an emulator front end. It's not an emulator in itself. It's designed to work with emulators and work with ROM collections to organize everything to make things nice and simple. Anyways here, Simple Launcher just got a brand new update, and it's a pretty big one. So at the time of filming, release 4.3.0 is the latest update here. They've added a major feature, multi-folder support. Multiple system folders. The core logic has been refactored to allow each system to scan for games across multiple folders instead of just one. And I would say in terms of usability, that is a massive feature. On top of that, they say there's been some UI enhancements, stability improvements, and a new tool. A new ROM validator tool has been added, and this tool can compare user game files with no intro DAT files. There's updates to emulator documentation, the MAME database has been updated to version 0.278, and even more. I would say this is a big update. And speaking about big stuff, next up here we're talking about PlayStation. And this is a very interesting tweet here. PlayStation history made today. The original PlayStation Home 0.4.1 GDC demo build from early 2007 is now online for the first time in 18 plus years. Now this tweet seems to have a link to an interesting page where I'm guessing there's even more information. And taking a look as well, the tweet has a video to showcase this in action. I would say in terms of preservation, not only is this probably great for game preservation, it's also really cool. And continuing to talk about interesting stuff, next up we're talking about the UK. Now the UK has implemented some stuff that has been a little bit controversial, and it's surrounding age verification. I mean, I think we've talked about it in previous videos, and right now there's a lot of videos on the subject. It's a very hot topic. Anyways, it seems people are being very innovative to get around these age verification stuff. Someone says, anyways, here's me verifying an account, and this is for Discord, using Batista in WWE 2K25. In my opinion, the tweet is kind of hilarious. I mean, it shows it in action, shows Batista's face in the age verification thing. It's just really funny to watch. I guess people have been using stuff like Death Stranding as well to get around this, and I'm assuming there's going to be more ways as time goes on. I think the rollout of this, the Online Safety Standards Act, has been a little bit clunky. I mean, if you take a look at something like Discord in the UK, I believe to satisfy the Online Safety Act, you have to upload a copy of your ID or have Discord scan your face and guess your age to allow you to use the app. And that's the whole scanning of the face thing is where Bautista comes in. Anyways, here it's a very interesting place right now. I'm curious to see what happens moving forward, if things are tweaked, if things are done differently. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. Honestly, I think the biggest problem with this Online Safety Act, or the biggest concern rather, is not necessarily about whether or not someone is old enough to use the social media stuff, but it's the user data, facial scans, and ID uploads, and data safety. And I'm curious to see what happens with all of that data, because I would say in terms of hacking and in terms of data mining and all of that, that could pose some pretty serious risks. And speaking about risks, next up we're talking about the upcoming GPD Win 5. Now, we've talked about this one in a previous video when the handheld was unveiled. It does feature an AMD Ryzen AI Max 395 Plus, so it's not going to be a slouch in terms of performance. But there's something very interesting about this handheld that I'm curious to see how it pans out and how it's received. This handheld will not include a battery on board. If you are interested in the GPD Win 5 and wanted to learn more about it, I'd recommend checking out the Fox's video. And again, like everything we talk about, links are in the description below. But the Fox says here it's going to be a massive 80 watt-hour external removable battery. Now, personally, I think this is a good and bad thing, and that's why I'm very curious to see how it's received. I mean, on the good side of things, you can easily swap the battery, and also you don't have the weight of the battery built into the handheld. On the bad side, it makes the entire setup, I would say, a lot more clunky. However, and I would say this is worth pointing out, based on the CPU on this one, the 395 Plus, or you can get it with the less powerful 385, I don't necessarily know if an internal battery would be the way to go here, if it would be feasible to be able to run for any length of time. And maybe that's why one of the reasons they went with that external battery. And as for the rest of the specs on here, they're absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this handheld is going to be a frickin' beast. For the chip on this, we talked about it, the 395 or the 385. For the GPU, it'll be an AMD Radeon 8060S or 8050S. For RAM on this, either 32, 64, 128 gigs. Storage can be 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, or 4 terabytes. And I guess here the power supply is going to be 180 watts. I do recommend checking out the Fox's video for even more information here. In terms of pricing, I don't expect that this thing is going to be cheap. And speaking about cheap, next up here we're talking about free. And F3, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Free Fangame Fest, depending on how you wanted to interpret that. And Kaze here has his free Fangame Fest that I do recommend checking out. Kaze says it's like E3 but for mods and fan games, and the presentation here is just over an hour. It's an hour and 13 minutes. We talked about this one in a previous video or 2 or 3, and also in previous years, because this is not the first time they've had this event. And I do recommend checking it out because there is a lot of interesting stuff in here. And I don't want to go over everything because I'd spend an hour and 13 minutes to do so. Another reason I'm not going to go over everything is because that voting is still active, and I don't want to influence the votes. I recommend checking out that video, and there are over 40 different mods and fan games included. And some of those are Tears of the Kingdom Online, Zelda Ultimate Trial, Super Mario Bros. Remastered, Tower of Trials, Angry Birds Refresh, Amped Up 3, Mario vs. Luigi Online, Mario Builder 64, BK Nostalgia 64, and even more. There is a lot in there. And in terms of current voting, it seems that Celeste Fusion Collab is currently running away with it, followed by Tears of the Kingdom Online, and then SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Deluxe. If you want your voice to be heard, if you want your vote to count, voting is still open. And speaking about cool stuff and development and gameplay, next up here we're talking about something you might be interested in and maybe not, but more than likely, yes, especially if you're a fan of Super Meat Boy or really cool and entertaining looking games. There's a brand new trailer on YouTube. We've talked about this game in the past, but it is called here Super Meat Boy 3D Official Developer Commented Gameplay Trailer. And I would recommend checking it out. Taking a look at the reactions online, and there's mostly positive here, with a few people not happy with the change in direction. Some people are not happy that a sequel to Super Meat Boy is 3D as opposed to 2D. And I am kind of, I'm on the fence about that one. because I would have loved to have seen a 2D sequel to Meat Boy, but at the same time here, this 3D gameplay looks freaking amazing. And I am all for that. It looks difficult, it looks a lot of fun. And that's something that I can get behind. If the game is done well, if everything is done well, then by all means here, I am all for it. And based on the trailer here, it looks like this one's going to be a home run. And last up here, we're talking about Microsoft and Xbox and The Outer Worlds 2. And this is something I think is important for highlighting. I think people's voices actually matter. I mean, when we talk about the Stop Killing Games initiative, when we talk about other stuff, voices, I would say, matter overall, because it turns out Microsoft has reversed plans to charge $80 for The Outer Worlds 2. And they put it down to $70. So I guess a little earlier on this week, Obsidian said, "We have received your SOS via Skip Drone about the pricing. As an organization devoted to making sure that corporations do not go unfettered, we at Earth Directorate have worked with Redacted to revise the price of The Outer Worlds 2. And that is, I would say, a huge win for the voice of gamers. Let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. I saw Chip and Dale today. I wasn't able to get them on camera, but they were around. We talked about a bunch today. Feel free to discuss anything we talked about in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.